What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and thanks to a gentleman named Tom Burns, a Patreon of mine, we're going to try the Sagamore lineup today. I have never tried Sagamore before. I've heard great things about it. These are obviously 3 ryes. We have the double oaked, we have the bottled and bond, and we have the Sagamore 8-year. So let's pour these up, let's try them out, and let's see which ones we like and which ones we don't. First of all, thank you, Tom. I appreciate this a lot. These are very generous sized samples as well. I probably already have about an ounce and a half in here, and I still probably have an ounce and a half to maybe even 2 ounces left in some of these, which is awesome because if I do like one, I can revisit it later to see what I think. I have notes here. Again, I don't know much about Sagamore. I did a lot of research on this because there's a lot of different information out there, especially with these 3 different ones. We have the 8-year, which I believe is on our left over here. That's correct. We have the Sagamore 8-year over here. This is obviously 8 years old. This comes in at 114.9 proof. This is a blend of 2 rye mash bills, which is 95.5 rye, as well as a 52% rye, 43% corn, 5% malted barley, and at MSRP is between that $70 to $75 range. That being said, this is an MGP made product, but I don't know if I can say it's sourced from MGP. And the reason that I differentiate that is because I believe they are providing the recipes to MGP for this. I don't believe MGP has these 2 recipes. So I think that they're basically using MGP to make it, but because it's their recipes, I'm not going to say sourced. Does that still count as sourced? You guys let me know. In the middle here, we are going with the Sagamore Bottled and Bond. Obviously, we know that's 100 proof. It is 4 years old, and the best thing about this one is this is the first release that Sagamore has that they distilled themselves rather than sourcing, well, not sourcing from MGP. And last but not least, we have the Sagamore Double Oaked, which I believe is the same 2 mash bills from the 8-year over here, but instead of being 8-year, I believe it's 4 to 5 years, and then it's obviously finished in a second cask. I don't know how long it's finished in the second cask, but everybody knows before we get started on all of that, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. Whew, that's oaky. So Sagamore has definitely been getting a lot of love recently. I definitely want to try the Bottled and Bond here. This is the one I'm most excited to try because this is their own product. This isn't sourced from MGP. This is their own rye that they put out. So this is where I'm going to start. We tried this as the traditional sip, but we're going to start with the Bottled and Bond and see what we think of this one right here. That is really good, but I will tell you it's not what I was expecting. Normally when I get ryes, I get you get that hit of rye right off the front. This definitely gives you that rye flavor, but it's kind of toned down a little bit. And still there's those fruity notes and those sweet notes as well. I've tried ryes before that usually give you a lot of mint, maybe even like an evergreen flavor, like a Canadian rye that I had gave me straight evergreen. This is a little bit different though. It's a little bit more sweet forward rather than rye forward. It's not as harsh on the rye flavor. That's really good. It tastes more like closer to a bourbon or like a high rye mash bill bourbon than it does like an actual rye. And I don't mind that at all. I actually enjoy this a lot. So being 4 years and Bottled and Bond, it's nice to see a smaller distillery and a younger distillery. I believe they started distilling their own product in 2017. Really step up and go through that process and take the time to make something and then make it good at the same time. We saw New Riff when they first got their start, making waves in the community, coming out with their Bottled and Bond and their single barrels. They did it right. They made it good. They took the time. They took the capital, and they made sure that they put out a good product right away because it's really hard in today's world and today's market when it comes to whiskey to start out with a bad product and then try to work your way back into the ranks. That being said, I will be picking up a bottle of the Sagamore Bottled and Bond. That's fantastic. I can't believe I haven't tried that yet. Again, I get so hesitant when you see these $60, $70, $80 price tags on bottles, but that for, what was the Bottled and Bond? $60 all day. Pick that up all day if you see it at $60. Let's get into the 8-year though. This is the 95.5 and the other mash bill from MGP that they blend together. I don't know how much of which is in this. This is 2 separate mash bills. It could be 50% of each, could be 75% of one mash bill, 25% of another, but let's try this out. Sagamore 8-year. Cheers. I will tell you what, this right here, balanced, easy to sip. Like I said, doesn't punch you in the face with that rye. This is a 14 proof difference. This is 114.9. We'll call it a 15 proof difference. The rye spice on this, punch you in the face. 95.5 rye definitely comes to mind when I drink this. I'm kind of curious going back to the double oaked after this, if this takes any of that tang away from this, but this has a lot of tang. It's very strong. Cinnamon, black pepper, peppercorn, very spice forward, but you still get a little bit of, maybe even like a hit of tobacco or leather or just that age behind this as well. Being 8 years, it's nothing crazy, but it's nothing underwhelming when it comes to the flavor profile on this. It just punches you in the face hard. The second sip calms down a little bit, but not much. I get like a, what's that big red, like the gum, the hot gum that you chew? I'm getting like a big red flavor profile on this, but then it almost turns into like a syrupy note as well. Not even like a maple syrup, because it's not that sweet, but like the viscosity and the mouthfeel is more of a syrupy feel than anything else. This is good. I think this is a little much for me when it comes to the rye spice on this. Again, you're drinking a 95.5 rye and then another 52% rye as well. So it's definitely going to have that rye kick. But I think transitioning from this to this just made it a little bit too much for me. As I sip this more and more, I start to enjoy it more and more. That first sip, again, I think transitioning from this to this really punched me in the face with that first sip. But as I start to sip this more, get more into that flavor profile, it definitely becomes a little more complex, a little bit deeper, and I do start to enjoy it just a little bit more for every sip. Let's take one more sip and decide if we would pay $70 to $75 for this bottle right here. I absolutely think I would. I would pay $70 to $75 for that bottle right here. This is a delicious rye. Again, it's different. It's not your traditional rye when it comes to the rye flavor on this. It definitely punches you in the face. If you want something that's overwhelming and not underwhelming, this is going to be the one for you. Again, 8 years has the age statement behind it. The 2 rye mash bills are fantastic. It's not MGP sourced, but it's done by MGP. This is really good. Let's get into the last one, double oaked, and see what we think. This double oaked literally tastes like our 8-year over here, just younger and then double oaked, which is, I'm assuming if I'm reading this correctly, exactly what this is. It's not bad, but I'm not the biggest fan of double oaked myself. I don't think it brings out the right flavors. It's a little bit more astringent to me. Again, I would drink it, but I don't know if I'd buy a bottle of it myself. I will say this though, the 96.6 proof point on this is more favorable than the 114.9 on this, not because of the ethanol kick, but because it really brings down that rye spice a lot. Again, this punches you in the face with rye, while this is a little bit more sweeter and a little bit more easy on the palate when it comes to the rye. But listen, the results are in, and I think you know what the answer is. The Bottled and Bond is definitely the best thing that Sagamore is putting out in this particular lineup. I am glad that it's this one as well, because I know moving forward, they're probably going to move on to their own distillate, and I'm excited to know that they know what they're doing and they're putting out good product without using MGP. That being said, the 8-year is still fantastic. If you have an opportunity to pick up the 8-year, I would definitely do it. As for my personal preference, I would leave the double oaked on the shelf. But again, if you like double oaked, if you like that tobacco, if you like that oaky flavor, you're going to love this too, because it's the same thing as this, just double oaked. And if you like that, then it's for you. But as for right now, this Bottled and Bond is absolutely delicious. I'd recommend this one 100% of the time. But listen, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. I'm working on a small project right now where I'm trying to get a Bourbon of the Week sticker in all 50 states. I am asking for $5, so if you want details on that, message me on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. If you want to help support the channel out financially, check us out on Patreon. And if you want to come chat with us 24/7, check out the Discord. Both those links in the description below. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay happy, stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. Click that like, click that subscribe. I always forget. Do what you want. Okie.